So it's been a while since I had the camera in my hand and actually filmed anything. This morning it's been pretty rainy, and the past couple days it's been pretty wet around here. I've had some snow. It's like 3 weeks ago now, maybe closer to a month now. So anyhow, this morning Dad and I did the milking and then fed the calves whenever we're done. So that's all taken care of. All we need to do is mix feed for the cows, and then we'll have to feed the heifers here after that. So let's get at her. So our first ingredient in milking cow TMR is a bale of alfalfa. Now this is first cutting. If you've been watching the videos, you gotta watch what I'm doing there because it's really wet and muddy. Make sure I don't slide into these other bales. But if you've been watching along and seen the past videos this summer whenever we were making alfalfa, we inline wrapped pretty much everything. Now there's some times where we wrapped some ourselves because it wasn't worth getting the custom wrapper to come, but we really like the inline wrap. It saves us a pile of time and fuel. Instead of sitting around running this thing all the time, we could do something else because it doesn't take near as long. It like cuts wrapping time in half. So this is the first ingredient, first cutting alfalfa. We opened that, I would say, about 2 months ago now. Time's been flying and I can't keep really track of it, but we're gonna cut the wrap off of this, throw it in the mixer, and let it grind up for a little bit. The mixer has pretty new knives on it. A couple weeks ago, my dad and Pat put new ones on. They wear down pretty fast, grinding bales all the time, but it does a good job grinding up. So we'll get that in there, and then we can get high moisture corn in and corn silage after that. So I always toss the bale in first and then start it. And I've seen other farmers on YouTube start it and then toss the bale in. Now in my mind, that's kind of hard on the power takeoff and tractors and stuff. Now it's possible it couldn't be, but starting and stopping all the time is not good for it either. So I'm not saying you're wrong if you do that, but that's how we always do it. We just put it in and then start it. I took the camera off of there from past experiences because the bale came around and spun my camera. I don't really want it in the mixer. GoPros are just too expensive for that. So still got the good old 2090 on the mixer. The bale's probably ground up now. In the skid loader here, got the bucket on, going down to get high moisture corn. And this is corn left over from last year. So you usually have carryover. You don't like to feed fresh feed like that. Now high moisture corn like that, it doesn't ferment like corn silage would, so you really wouldn't have to wait. But it's just always nice to have carryover. That way we don't have to get into the new feed right away, and then we'll be sure that we'll have for the future. I always like to keep extra feed on hand. I know some people don't, they like to sell their feed if they have extra, which that's fine, but we like to keep ours that way. You never know, you have a bad year or anything like that, we have a drought or it's too wet. So about a scoop of this is around 700 to 800 pounds. That's all we need for the ration. Our nutritionist works for Cargill, who we get our cow feed from. He does a good job. He comes around, samples feed, you know, the corn, the silage, and the hay. The right moisture, the right much protein because that can drop the butter fat content in the milk. So you can really mess with the components. When you're getting paid by the components in the milk, you like to try to keep them in the necessary range. Getting a little steamed up in here. It's nice having the heat, but the wind is sure fogged up a little bit. We're going across the road now to the silage ag bags. Dad's in the tractor mixer. I got the skid loader here. And I'll just pull over there and start things up, and I'll load it out and finish out the ration. Up here at the heifer farm, we go ahead and push their TMR in and give them high moisture corn. I give the calves out front calf feed. Just didn't film it, so yeah. Start off by pushing some corn silage into the steers. The high moisture corn's in this wagon here. Just need to open her up and push it out, and then we'll fill the 5-gallon buckets up with it. I have 5 buckets here. Now some of this is cow feed, the protein pellets. Get a little bit extra in the barn there sometimes, so we just scoop it up, shovel, carry it out in buckets, and throw it in this wagon. So got them in the skid loader bucket. I'll haul them down and push this TMR in the whole way down along there. Now the dry cows in this, dry cows is the furthest pen down. This next pen this way does not get any grain, they just get TMR, and these 2 pens here will get grain. So 3 buckets goes to this pen and 2 buckets goes to that pen down there. So we got the heifers fed, and I just had to give the dry cows a little bit of corn silage. I'm feeding out of the silage trench up there for about, I don't know, good 2 months now, maybe. Ever since we moved the heifers home, we started feeding out of there. That's from last year, not this past year's harvest. It's got a little bit of mold on it because we had some rodents get into it and tear holes in, and it's kind of frustrating when they do that, but that's why we gotta keep it fed. And that was our fault. We had silage down here we wanted to feed first, so we were just taking feed up. But anyhow, we're getting her fed now, getting rid of the moldy stuff, feeding the good stuff, and then we can fill her again next year. I'm gonna try to finish the project I started this past week. I went through and bought 4 new turn signal, hazard, whatever you want to call them, for these 2 tractors. Now, here's what I bought. They're the square, I believe they're LED. They're for on a pedestal of a truck, like the front fender, I think that's what they're called. Those are the factory ones there, and they were knocked off. All 3 of these tractors, the 94 series and the 290 series, they're knocked off this side, because whenever you come around the tree lines and stuff, this side would always be the first to come around, and it would always get knocked off. So they've been like that for a while now, just like that, and it's been bugging me because we can't use the 4-ways on these tractors because it just blows the fuse because it's being shorted there. And especially on this one, we run on the baler, so I'd like to have those lights working on the baler, because people come flying around and you're trying to turn into places and stuff, and then at night it'll be nice to have lights. I couldn't actually find the factory case lights that go like that. They go inside the cab. I'll show you. You gotta tear the headliner out, which I need to take these hoses apart and I can pull the whole thing out. It's just hanging here. It's a pain to get in up in there, and over here is where they go. So you gotta come in here, and there's 2 bolts to hold it in, and then the middle part of those old style, the factory lights, they come in here, and just 2 bolts hold it in. So I got on Larson Lights, LarsonLights.com, I think it's called, and the replacement lights for these tractors, they were the round ones, which I think the 70 series, some of the 70 series are round. I don't like the looks of the round ones if they'd be on these tractors, so I found those square ones there. There's a single post that goes in, so all I had to do was just make the hole just a wee little bit bigger, and they'll work. And if somebody ever wanted to put factory lights back up there, they could, but I don't think they'd ever be able to because I can't find them anywhere online, so I don't think any equipment dealer would have them. But these tractors are getting up in their years. I'm thinking it's gotta be hard to find parts for these tractors now, but anyhow, once I get this tractor done, I have them both mounted. Just need to wire them up and hope, keep my fingers crossed, that don't blow the fuse out, because that's what the old ones did. And I think it's just the old lights because the other ones broke and stuff. So hopefully I can get these done and then move on to this 2290 here sometime. We'll get it out of here and crimp some ends on the wires. They have different plugs compared to the factory, so it's not too much of a deal.